Setbacks are temporary, but comebacks, they are legendary. Welcome back to the PSI Effect, where we pause, shift, and ignite purpose that speaks louder than your past. This is Neug, and together with Franky, we're your hosts in this space, and your comeback starts now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back here with Franky and I for another look at the PSI Effect Podcast. The holidays are upon us, so we thought that we would have some conversations centered around the holidays. And, we have some interesting things that we can share. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. But before we get there, Franky, brother, how you doing, man?
Neug, my man. Holiday time is, it's energizing for me. I was going to get all festive and everything today for our holiday episode. And, I had this little red pullover that I was going to put on. Then I sat down in front of the camera and I was like, man, I'm sitting here looking like the Kool-Aid man with this big old red pullover on.
Hey, Kool-Aid.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, obviously I had to have a wardrobe change. If folks watch it on YouTube, you can see I am not in a red pullover because I did not want to look like the Kool-Aid man. But no, things are going well. Just starting to, get into that holiday mode. I mean, it's even if it's, not exactly holiday season or somebody may not even be celebrating the holidays, it seems like things sort of speed up as we go. And, I also find myself in that speeding up, getting nostalgic and thinking back on, holiday times past and all the good stuff associated with it.
Yeah. You said you were going to wear a red sweater. I had a red shirt that I pulled out and made a change at the last minute as well. So
great minds think alike.
Yes, they do. Yes, sir. So talking about nostalgia and the holidays, I know holidays mean different things to different people, and different cultures celebrate holidays differently and so forth. Just for me, the holidays, a lot of family, man, a lot of family through the years. And I may have shared in the previous episode when the holidays rolled around, as I was maturing, most often I lived somewhere different than my main family, my mom and, dad and sisters and so forth, brother. And so I was always traveling somewhere, and usually driving, and most often driving through the snow. So it was almost I shouldn't say almost, it was a silent expectation that I was going to be around for the holidays. So wherever I was, wherever I was, I had to make my way, and it didn't matter if it was snowing or what have you. So, but just getting together with family, man. I mean, I think that was just, it's always been important to me because I think that's the way that my mom started us off. It was all about family during the holidays. And so it's just something that has stuck with me.
Yeah. And for me too. And I really didn't get there until I got older, right? The holidays when you're young have a whole different look, feel, smell, all of that stuff than when after you leave the house. And it wasn't until after I left the house and moved out of my parents' home that the real love, the real good things about the holidays just really manifested. And you're off living your life, kind of like you mentioned, you're away from your family. And granted, I may not have been far from them, but it still wasn't the day-to-day interaction with everybody like it used to be when I still lived at home with my parents. So the holidays coming around as I got older meant I got some good focus time with them, got to just sit down and be still and just be around family that I may not have seen in a long time. And that was recharging for me. That was a way for me to kind of refill my cup as I came into this time of the year.
Yeah, that's a good reference to refill your cup, especially like you said, you're living your life, things get busy. And time passes really quickly when you're not really paying attention to life. Life is just happening. and you're in it. It's like a movie that's happening, that's being made. You're in it. And you're not even watching the movie sometimes. So I get that reference wholeheartedly. And I think maybe that's part of the reason why it was so important for me as well, because to your point, it was just a recharge being with my folks. So the other part of it, though, Frankie, is we had good food during the
Talk about it,
holidays.
sir. Talk about it. Yes.
We had good food, sir. And I was fortunate that, my mom and my sister were really good cooks, very good cooks. And it was always a pleasure to pull up to the table. And I got to be honest, even throughout the year, if I wasn't on the road and I was near home or what have you, I'd call them up. I could call either one of them up and say, "Hey, what you cooking?" We had that kind of relationship, and so. But at the holidays, man, folks went all out. My mom had this dinner roll recipe, which I don't have, unfortunately. But it would take her some time, man, to make these dinner rolls. She'd get up early and she would start, get her flour out, get her yeast out, and she would just go to work. And let me just tell you, we made short work of those dinner rolls at the table. Short work, because they were absolutely delicious. But I say that to say that, one of the things that my mom instilled in me, I think she tried to instill it in my brother as well, but he didn't really come along, was cooking. And so I enjoy cooking for the holidays if I have the time to do it that particular year. And I just want to share with you something that a little something that I made last year during the
You about to make me
holidays.
hungry.
And oh man, let me just tell you, it was very interesting for me because sometimes I just do things quick. Last year I just had this wild hair and I just dug out some recipes, and this particular plate is your basic turkey and rice and gravy. I made some stuffed mushrooms, but this little piece here was a squash cranberry kind of casserole type thing that I found that was very, very interesting looking to me. And so I made it, and my family who was around me at the time really enjoyed it. So, and it was fun. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. As I remember, I took that turkey and I brined it. It was the first time I ever brined a turkey before. And it turned out really well, but it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of time. But, I say all that to say that the love that goes into the meal is what makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
The love that goes into it, and then watching people's faces, watching your family's faces as they, enjoy the meal. It makes it all worth it. You might be tired at the end of the day, but just seeing that joy and seeing that love, it just makes it all worth it. And that right there was a plate of love. Let me just tell you, a labor of love, and doggone it, it tasted good.
Man, so you just probably drove our YouTube viewership up to exponential proportions. People hearing you that may not look at our YouTube, hearing you talk about this meal you just prepared. So if you're not seeing this on YouTube, go check it out, because you can see this mean plate that Neug is talking about. And as we're going through our reminiscing, we're going to get to some suggestions and some tips for managing the holidays. So the first golden nugget for managing the holidays is to wear stretchy pants, because the food is going to flow and you want to be comfortable. So surviving the holidays tip number 1, wear stretchy pants.
That is so true, Frankie.
Yeah. But,
so true indeed.
Going back to what you were talking about, liking to, watch people enjoy things, that's my mom up and down. She's a wonderful cook, and I pick at her. I call her a food voyeur, because she, cooks these wonderful meals, and she'll spend all day cooking and prepping everything. And then when it's time to eat, she just likes to sit back and watch. She doesn't get a plate. She just likes to sit back and watch everybody else enjoy it. and then she may meander over there to grab something a little bit later. But just that joy of being around family and, gathering around the table. I mean, it's great.
Absolutely. Well, you did say, Frankie, that, some folks may not, um, have the same feeling about the holidays that we do. And, talking about things that help you get through the holidays. And, this episode, or I mean, this podcast is about, the pause, the shifting night. And I think one of the things to take note of is, going into the holidays, if this is something that, maybe it's not your favorite time of year, maybe there's some, family things that happen that, don't sit right or what have you, whatever the situation, the scenario is, um, you have this time now to take that pause going into the holidays and just really, understanding the direction that you want to go. Maybe you want to be around folks and maybe you don't. So it's time to take that pause and take stock of, what's going to be right for you, what's going to feel right for you going into this season that you may not, be ready to take on or what have you. So, um, I do want to put that out there, just take a beat, pause, decide what you want to do. It's okay to say no to some things if it's not what you want to do.
Oh man,
Folks
yes.
may be disappointed. Yeah. I mean, folks may be disappointed, but it's what makes it's what makes you whole, right? It's what makes you comfortable during this time. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and you're spot on. Some of the things that we've talked about in prior episodes as we explored the PSI framework are definitely applicable here during the holiday time. And during that pause, like you mentioned, it's a great time for us to kind of plan and set expectations. I think one of the first things that we always need to make sure is kind of at the top of the list is understanding that there is no such thing as a perfect holiday. Something's not going to go the way we expect it to go. Not everything's going to fall into place as we may always want it to go. So just understanding that there's no such thing as a perfect holiday. Being realistic about your expectations for the holiday. You mentioned saying no. Being able to prioritize and simplify things goes a long way. I know something I'm guilty of a lot during the holiday season. It's like I'm looking forward. It's like, yeah, I'm spend time with family. I'm gonna have some time away from work. I'll be able to sit still for a while. And sitting still is usually the last thing that I end up doing. I overcommit. I'm running around. I'm eating all this food, but I'm wearing my stretchy pants because I'm following that golden nugget. But I'm just doing too much. Trying to do too
Yeah.
much, and it can be overwhelming. So creating a plan. We talked about in a previous episode about making things visible, breaking things down. That same
Mhm.
principle applies to how we approach the holidays. Try to have a plan for what you want to do and be realistic. Don't overcommit because you know ideally, you would love to have the holidays be a time where you refill your cup, when you recharge your battery. You don't want to burn the candle at both ends.
That's a good point, and it leads us to something that I was going to say is, you know, the holidays may not be your favorite time, right? It may be difficult. So you create some balance, and what I mean by that is if you think that you are going to be in a situation with friends or family or just the holidays in general that make you uncomfortable in one way or another, balance that out with doing something for yourself, doing something that you enjoy,
Mhm.
whether it's, just taking a drive, if it's, going to a movie or dancing or whatever it is, find some balance to do some things that, bring you joy during this time. Not that you have to wait for the holidays to bring you joy, bring yourself joy, right?
Right.
But certainly create that balance so that you are in this time that folks are really celebrating and enjoying, what's going on in the season or what have you. Find some time that you can enjoy this time too, but make it about you. Is all I'm saying.
Prioritizing self care has to be one of the things at the top of the list. You hit the nail right on the head, Nuge. we talk a lot about safe spaces on this podcast, and that holds true through the holiday season. Maintain your safe spaces. If you're getting overwhelmed, have a space that you can retreat to recharge and then come back out again. Prioritize taking care of yourself, because there are going to be situations that you get into where you just feel like you might need to step away. You might need a break, and that's okay. It's sometimes there's this expectation. Oh, it's the holiday. Oh, you're not festive. You're a Scrooge. Bah humbug and all this. But the holidays are different for everybody. And if you need space, make that space and take it unapologetically, because you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anything else.
Yeah, you're right. Talking about folks calling you Scrooge, I can remember some years back, just to frame this, just remember that I said it was a quiet expectation that I would always travel. Because my family, my mom, my sisters, they didn't drive in the snow. It was just, they just weren't driving in the snow. They would visit me from like March till September, October, and anything after that, October to March. If we were going to see each other, it was because I was going to make that trip, because they were not traveling in the winter. They were not traveling in the snow. So I used to decorate my place for Christmas all the time. I put up the lights, and I put up trees, and I put up all these different things for Christmas to make it really festive. And since I was traveling home to where my family was, no one was enjoying what I had set up, not even me, because I wasn't there. And so I got to a point where I said, this is really crazy, because I put all this decoration up and I make it really festive, but I'm not even home to enjoy it. So I got to a place where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that this year. And so what I did was I was in a local drugstore this year, and they had these little LED light trees. You just pull it out the box, fluff it, plug it in, and you had a little tabletop tree. And I bought one, and I said, I really want to have some idea of Christmas in my home during this time. And so I did that, and a few little knickknacks around just to make it festive, but I didn't go all out like I had before. And I say all that to say that it's okay what you decide to do during this time.
Absolutely.
You don't have to feel guilty or feel like a Scrooge, if you will, if you don't, there's certain things that you don't want to participate in this year. And for me, it got to a point where it just, I'd spend all this time and exhaust myself setting everything up, and then I'd spend all this time and exhaust myself taking everything down, and no one ever really enjoyed it. So it's okay to say you're going to do what's right for you.
Yeah, we have to be able to set boundaries. Just like any time of the year. That's not limited to the holiday season. We have to be able to have those boundaries where, we create that safe space once again, and we make the decisions that are going to help us prosper in terms of mental health, emotional health, physical health. We got to do those things and make those decisions. And that's all right to set up those boundaries. And part of the difficulty with that, I think, is the necessity of the open conversation with those around us, because inevitably somebody might ask, well, why didn't you put up your tree this year, Nuge? Or, why are you not celebrating a holiday? And while that's your personal business, it can still create stress around that conversation with whoever it is that may be asking you those questions.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because folks were really giving me a little grief, but but hey, I invite them to come over and set everything up for me if
There
that's
you
what they wanted to do. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that our audience knows that it's okay, on these expectations that are put on you. It's okay to say no and to make the time about you and what makes you whole.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, one of the things that really sticks out to me about, the holiday season is that regardless of what holidays you celebrate, or if you celebrate holidays at all during this time of year, there's something about this time of year where there tends to be a lot of anchor points in our lives. Anchor points being, events, strong memories, things that happen that really influence us and shape our lives, positively and or negatively. Um, so as we were getting ready to record this episode, I was just kind of thinking back of, holidays past as a young person and things that happened when I was young that were those anchor points and formative things. And there were two things that came to mind. One was, as a kid, I did something during the holiday season that kind of carried over into adulthood, and that was something related to my meticulous attention to detail. Nuge, I'm very detail oriented about how I try to approach things, and it started at a very early age. So one of the things that was a really fond memory, and my parents still pick on me to this day about it, is that around this time of year, the catalogs would start coming in the mail. And there were two catalogs that I was absolutely waiting for every year. The JCPenney catalog. What'd you say?
I said, did you have your postage stickers next to you waiting on those catalogs?
Oh, no. Check me out here. Hear me out. I was waiting on the JCPenney Christmas catalog. And there's this store that was in the area. I don't know how widespread a store called Brindle's. The Brindle's Christmas catalog. Once those two catalogs came in the mail, I went off to my little workspace, pulled out the graph paper to create a little manual spreadsheet of, the things that had caught my eye in the Christmas catalogs. Had a column for the name, had a column for the price, what catalog it was in, what page it was on. Nerding out. So, and that's actually followed me into adulthood. If you take a look at my computer and how I try to organize how I work and do all these things, you'll see a very similar fashion. So that was one of those formative things that kind of stuck with me. And another, Nuge, this. I don't know if the audience knows it or not, but I am an avid gamer, and I'm talking about video games. And I'm old school. And I was going through some old pictures as we were getting ready to have this episode, and I found a picture of the holiday season where I actually became a gamer, when I first became a gamer. And for those that are watching on YouTube, you can see this picture right here. This was a picture from Christmas of 1982. When I got an Atari 2600 video game console for Christmas. And I've been gaming strong ever since. I still have that Atari, and it still works. I kind of wish I still had the hair that I have in this picture because, that ship has sailed. But from this, love of video games, but this is actually what sparked my love of technology as well and led me into my career path. Just being able to, have a love of technology. And it's something that happened during the holidays that really just kind of carried forward into adulthood. And it was funny to come across that picture because, that was a very formative moment that captured. And, those were some positive stories and good stories. But at some point, if we keep living long enough, as the older folks would say, there are things that happen where the holidays have anchor points that are maybe not so positive. There are memories of folks that we may have lost or hardships where the holidays really start to carry some weight that make the holiday times difficult. And it's important to know that, we can still get help. We can manage that grief. We can manage those hard times. Like we always say, we're not therapists, but there's plenty of help out there. If you're struggling during the holiday season. And just like any other time of the year, you should never be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, it can be very tough, especially that first meaningful family event after loss. And, and I know some folks listening to us have suffered loss pretty regular. You lose someone this month and then, a few months later lose someone else. And it really makes it difficult to go through some of those times. And so, taking stock of that and getting help and support and working through those feelings, working through that pain, I think is hugely important. Especially as we go into this holiday season, because for a lot of people, it is about family. It is about those moments and those memories that have been created. And so I think that, definitely as you are making your pause and you're making your shift, don't forget to um, step into the ignition stage and actually do something. It's one thing to find the resources or be given resources. It's another thing to actually use them.
Right. Right. And, you know, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to need quiet time if you need it. It's okay to not celebrate a holiday if that's your thing. It's just we have to find that space, that groove that works for us. Try to recharge our batteries. Try to stay true to ourselves as we're going through this holiday season. Because a lot of times, regardless of the holiday that you celebrate, it all becomes a rat race for gift giving and all of that. And that's not what it's about. The holidays are not about giving gifts. No matter what holidays you celebrate, it's not about giving gifts. So, just make sure you keep that in mind and put it in the right place in the priority hierarchy.
And to go along with that, Frankie, I just want to say that giving of gifts. When we think about that, a lot of times we think about tangible gifts that purchase from, online, to go to the store and purchase wrap and all that. But there are personal gifts that you can give of yourself, just time. There may be someone that is really close to you that they just want to hear from you. That could be
Right.
a huge gift. Just reaching out to people that you haven't spoken to in a while, um, or visiting people that you haven't seen in a while, or just having a meal, just going out to dinner, not necessarily a holiday meal, just having dinner or lunch or morning coffee. I think that those things go a long way as well. And those are gifts, believe it or not. There's, especially as you get more mature and, as you do lose people around you, um, some folks fall into isolation, and that few minutes, that hour, that 2 hours, or whatever time that you spend can be huge, be a huge uplift for someone. So don't necessarily, as you say, think about the things that you can purchase and wrap and present to someone. Present some things that are just genuinely and authentically you. And I think that will definitely put a blessing into the lives of folks around you. But I want to
Absolutely.
ask Frankie. Go ahead. I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that it's about trying to help. Is no matter what situation we're in, we all have something within us that can be a help or a blessing to someone else. And during the holiday seasons, a lot of times more than any other time during the year, is a great time to try to share those things. Even if we're carrying our own weight, even if we're hurting, even if we feel like we're, under life's thumb, there's something that we have in us that could be a positive influence on somebody else's life. Like just like you said, a conversation, a kind word, a smile. There's something that we can do during the holiday season that could be a positive spark in somebody else's life. And I encourage our listeners to try to be that spark during this time of the year, because we never know what somebody's going through. We never know the silent battles that others may be facing. So try to be that spark of positivity in somebody's life during this holiday season.
Absolutely. But what I was going to ask you, Frankie, was the Atari, the video game. Was that one of the items that made it to your very detailed spreadsheet?
Oh, yes, sir. Along with, along with all the accessories. Yes, I want the Atari 2600 video game system with 2 controllers, with the single button joystick, one set of paddle controllers for playing tennis and ice hockey. And here are the games that I would like to have with that Atari 2600. And of course, my meticulous attention to detail didn't mean that I got everything that was on that list, but just the joy of being able to go through and make that list, that was fun for me. And, it was good.
The flip side of that, I would love to have a conversation with your parents and ask them, how did they approach the list, and did they look forward to it every year in a certain way? I could just imagine that they were expecting that list, and they could almost describe to each other in detail how it was going to come, how it was going to be presented to them.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll tell you some funny stories, and it's funny too how back then too, if Christmas time you get this box like, oh, what is this? Oh, it's some underwear. Oh, it's some new socks, and just the whole perception of that changed once I moved out of the house. Then I open up a box like, oh man, I got some underwear. I can get rid of these. I can get rid of these church underwear. And, I call them church underwear because they were holy. So I got some new underwear. So the whole perception around some of those things that happened changed, as I got a little bit more age on me, a little more wisdom on me. The holidays hit different.
That is a topic that I think that we should cover at some point. And it's just, value and how we value different things in our life, and how it means, or how it hits different with different people. Because I agree. When I was young, getting a pair of socks didn't really mean much. It was a pair of socks. I had socks in my drawer. But as I did get older, I was appreciative of those socks. And then it was like, they were new socks. And I just, I enjoyed the gift. But just the value of things, I think, is an episode that I think we need to, bring some nuggets forward on. So we'll think about that. But as we go through, Franky, we're going to make available to our audience just kind of a mini guide for the holidays, broken down into the pause, the shift, and the ignite, and just a few things that folks can use to kind of help them get through the holidays. And I mean, it may be something that is, pertinent to their certain situation. It may not be. And one of the things that's on the list I just want to bring up is, check in at the moment, right? How am I actually feeling? And this is true whether it's the holiday or any day, is just checking in with yourself, and being authentic with yourself about how you feel about certain things. And so we got some little nuggets on this list that we're going to make available, that you can download for free, I will say. So we don't have any what is that term they use?
Paywall. They don't have a paywall.
Paywalls.
We don't have a paywall.
Yeah, we don't have a paywall. I'm used to brick walls and dry walls. Paywalls, okay. But anyway, we don't have any paywalls, so we're going to make this available for you for free, that you can just download and check out at your leisure.
Yeah, and that link will be on our website. This is psipod.com. We'll have a link up. The things that we've talked about in all of our episodes of the PSI Effect podcast can kind of come to roost for you during the holiday season and help you navigate it and come on out on the other side fulfilled, with your cup overflowing, batteries recharged, and some positivity in your heart.
Exactly right. And no matter what you do and how you celebrate or don't celebrate, we here at the PSI Effect Podcast, Franky and I, we have you in mind, and that's why we do what we do here. So, we're thinking about you, and we hope that you do have an enjoyable holiday season, no matter what it is that you do. So, Franky, tell the people where they can find us, all the places that they can find us. I know you mentioned one or two just a minute ago, but tell the people where they can find us.
Well, actually, before I dive into that, I think it's important to...
You got something else for us?
Yeah. So, this episode will be our last full episode of the calendar year as we're heading into the holiday season. We're going to gear things down for a minute, but we'll still be active in the social media spaces. You can still reach out to us, but this will be the last episode this calendar year. And we'll be back strong in January. So just keep that in mind. We'll make sure we're communicating that out on all our channels as well. But yeah, we need to take time for ourselves as well. We need to make sure we're taking the time to pause for ourselves as we head into this holiday season. And we hope that you're going to do the same. But you can find the PSI Effect Podcast on all the podcast platforms: Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Just look on your favorite podcast aggregator and you should be able to find. Please subscribe, like, comment. Let us know how things are going. We are also on YouTube, so if you want to see the video renditions and see some of these pictures that Neug and I have been sharing, as well as just see us as we're going through the podcast, check us out on YouTube. You can find us on our handle at This Is PSI Pod, or you can just search for the PSI Effect Podcast. And then, of course, we're on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at This Is PSI Pod. And of course, your home for all things PSI Effect is our website. This is psipod.com. From there, you can get to all of our different channels and interfaces. So I hope you'll come by and check us out. Don't forget to come by and check us out for the download of our holiday survival guide.
Absolutely. And definitely subscribe. We want to see you in our space. We want to see your comments. And we do answer the comments, by the way. So don't be afraid and think that you're not going to hear from us. Go ahead and drop us a line on what you think about the podcast. Tell us about, how you celebrate the holidays, whatever it is. We answer those comments. We read and answer those comments. So until next time, folks, it's been a pleasure to be with you, always with you, Franky, as well. And just remember that the setbacks definitely are temporary. The comebacks are indeed legendary. So until the next time that we meet, go out there and be brave and rise on purpose. We'll see you next time.
Happy holidays. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the PSI Effect Podcast. This show doesn't happen without you, and you can connect with us via Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit our website at thisispsipod.com and find us on YouTube and social media at This Is PSI Pod. That's at This Is PSI Pod. Until next time, remember, be brave and rise on purpose.